In this video, we're going to do two examples on how to find the midpoint, a point exactly in the middle of a line segment. All right, in the first example, straightforward, we were given two coordinates and we have to find the coordinate, the point that is exactly in the middle. And then with the second example, we're going to work backwards where they give us the midpoint and there's other missing information that we need to find. Okay, let's go. So if I look at this one, we can eyeball it. And I think the midpoint is going to be somewhere there. That would be my estimate. So let's see what happens. So if it's exactly in the middle, it means it cuts that line segment AB in half, where the distance from A to the midpoint would be exactly the same as the distance from the midpoint to point B. So it bisects that line. Okay. I copied the midpoint formula in there for you. So the midpoint of AB would be equal to, we're going to add the two x values of the coordinates. So I'm going to start with coordinate A. I'm going to add them, and I'm going to divide it by 2. And then I'm going to take the y values, starting with my point A again, and I'm going to divide that by 2. Now we just need to simplify. So the midpoint will be, if we put that together, that would give us 2 over 2. And this one would give us negative 3 over 2. And let's just show one last step where I'm just going to simplify that a little bit further, because my 2 divided by my 2 would be 1. And then I'm just going to leave that one as a fraction, but we know that 3 over 2 would just be equal to 1.5. I just like to also just write this down somewhere because it makes it easier to plot when you have to go plot it on the Cartesian plane if they ask that of you. Okay, so we found the midpoint, we're done. Let's see how far off my estimation was. So I said it's over there, and now it is actually the point 1 and negative 1. And oh my gosh, I was spot on. Do you see that? 1 and by negative 1.5. Okay. Good. Let's look at the next one. Okay, with this one, they say that we need to find x. Where is this x that we need to find? There it is. It's the x coordinate of our point A. If the midpoint, give us the midpoint of this line segment, is that. So we've got given the midpoint and there's other information. Okay, so with this, an idea that I want you to understand is just track with me, please. So if I give you that 2 is equal to 3, you're going to say, no, they are not equal to each other. And if I give you that coordinate 2 and 3 is equal to coordinate 7 and minus 10. You're going to say, no, they are not equal, because that is my x of this coordinate, and that's my x of this coordinate. And if we're saying the coordinates are equal, then these two things need to be equal to each other, and they're not. And this is my y value of that coordinate, and this is my y value of that coordinate. And if we want to put an equal sign in between and saying that they're equal, those two values need to be exactly equal. So these two coordinates are not equal. But if we had that coordinate is equal to that, then yes, that is true. Those two are exactly equal to each other. Okay, why am I showing you that? Just that we can understand what we're going to do with this one over here. So we've got that the midpoint of AB, we got given that. How do we normally find the midpoint? Well, we're going to take the two x values and we're going to add them. So that one, I don't know, it's just x plus 5, and we're going to divide that by 2. And then for the next one, we have the y values, and I'm adding a number that is negative over 2. And then we were given the midpoint. So if I plug that midpoint in there of 0 and 2. And we are saying that is equal to a midpoint of x plus 5 over 2. And over there, we've got 6. That would be 4 over 2. I'm just going to write that on the side over there. So if we take this one and we simplify it, it's going to give us 4 over 2, which is just going to be equal to, yeah, and that is correct. We know that those two things must be equal to each other. So what do we need to work with? We are after finding that x. So this x coordinate of the midpoint must be equal to that. So then I've got that 0 is equal to x plus 5 over 2. All right, so far so good. So now we're dealing with some equations with fractions. There's more than one way that you could look at that. I'm just going to multiply both sides of the equation by 2. And when I do that, I get x plus 5 on the right-hand side and still 0 on the left-hand side. And therefore, my x would be equal to a negative 5. So in other words, coordinate A would then be negative 5 and 6. There's our missing x that we found. Does it make sense if we think about where point A is? Well, point A is in the second quadrant where our x will definitely have a negative value. This question shows up all the time.